Welcome back to Say No to Lashon Hara, Day 2. This project is being done in order to achieve a merit of refuah shelemah for Chana Bat Sima Feiga. Yesterday we explained that the Chafetz Chaim told us that the source and the reason for our continued galut is the fact that we are still speaking Lashon Hara and we still carry sinat chinam in our hearts, evil speech and baseless hatred. Now, that sin is not the sin of the past of our forefathers that is still being punished for, but rather it's a sin that we are perpetuating. And therefore, even though we keep praying and doing mitzvot and doing everything to bring Mashiach and the Geulah, he still does not come and the Bet HaMikdash cannot be rebuilt. There's only one sin that can cause HaKadosh Baruch Hu not to bring Geulah to his children, not to redeem his children, and that is the sin of Lashon Hara. And the proof is actually quite simple. What's more difficult, to destroy something that's already created or existing, or to not rebuild it? To not rebuild something, you just need to do nothing. To destroy something is much more difficult. So if Sinat Chinam and Lashon Hara would cause the Bet HaMikdash, which was existing, to be destroyed, how much more so can it stop the Bet HaMikdash from being rebuilt? The Chafetz Chaim brings a proof to this exact point. In Shemot, when Moshe Rabbeinu goes out to his brothers and sees the suffering that they are experiencing, he sees an Egyptian taskmaster beating a Jew simply to death. He steps in and kills the Egyptian taskmaster to save the Jew's life. The very next day he finds out that Datan and Aviram have told Paro on him for killing the Egyptian. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, Achen noda hadavar. Behold, I see that the thing is known. And the literal translation means that Moshe was saying that his deed, his act of saving this Jew by killing the Egyptian who was going to kill him, had become known. But Rashi quotes the Midrash, and the Midrash says that I was always wondering, why was it that of all the 70 nations, the Jewish people are suffering so much? They're working so hard. Why do they deserve this? Why does God not redeem them? And now, Achen noda hadavar, I finally understand it. Because there are people amongst our nation that speak Lashon Hara, and they are destroying it for everybody else. What a powerful idea. So we see the idea of the Chafetz Chaim borne out in the words of the Midrash, explaining the words of Moshe Rabbeinu. The Chafetz Chaim proves this again from the story of the Meraglim, of the spies. They went into Eretz Israel, and they came back and spoke Lashon Hara about Hashem's land, the gift that he was giving us, the gift of Eretz Israel. That night, when they heard the report, they cried through the night, and God said, you cried for nothing. I'm going to make sure that this night you're going to cry forever. That night was the night of Tisha B'Av, and that night was the night of the destruction of the temple. So you see again that there's a direct correlation between Lashon Hara and the destruction of the temple. Indeed, not only does it teach us that Lashon Hara causes destruction, but also that we are prevented from Geulah, because that night caused them to need to wander in the desert for another 38 years until 40 years later they would finally get into Eretz Israel after everyone in the generation had already passed away. The Chafetz Chaim continues by bringing the pasuk where the Torah tells us in Devarim, Arur makere eu basater, cursed is he who hits his friend secretly, in secret. And the Chachamim explain, Rashi tells us that what does that mean? That you hit your friend secretly, it means if you punch him and no one's looking? No. It means that when you hit someone, it's clear to the person that you hit them. And the person understands that this is the source of aggression against him. Whereas when you speak Lashon Hara, a rumor is circulating around town, the person doesn't even know how to defend themselves and where this rumor is coming from, who started it, who started telling people these terrible things about him. That's called hitting someone secretly. And the Torah tells us that when a person speaks Lashon Hara, what is he? He is arur, he is cursed. A person who speaks Lashon Hara is cursed. If a person feels that they are cursed, that things are terribly going against them again and again and again, one might want to check whether they could improve in Lashon Hara. The Gemara goes even one step further and explains that Lashon Hara is considered like a person is denying the existence of God. Some cases it's easy to understand. When the Jews spoke Lashon Hara about Eretz Israel, they were saying that God had told them that he was bringing them to a great land, and in fact the people came back and said it's not true. So that's like Lashon Hara, effectively against God. But how is regular Lashon Hara a denial of God? We'll learn more about that in the future, but just something to think about for now. When you speak bad about someone, you're saying that that person is evil. You're painting that person in a negative light. But part of that person is his heavenly soul, which we are told is a piece of God from in heaven. And that means that you are denigrating and denying the existence of God in this person. You're denying the good in them, which is actually Hashem, so to speak, himself. The Chafetz Chaim then continues and offers the last of these points. Hashem says in the Midrash, in Devarim Rabbah, that when there's Lashon Hara amongst the Jewish people, not only does God not bring Geulah, not only does Galut continue, but Hashem withdraws his presence, the Shekhinah, from us. So we see that the Beit HaMikdash has not been rebuilt, the Shekhinah is removed, a person feels like they are cursed, and all sorts of terrible things happen, and all because of speaking Lashon Hara. How careful do we have to be?